So if you've been following me on socials, you probably saw that I was recently in Tokyo, Japan with the incredible team at Netflix Australia for the premiere of Zack Snider's upcoming Netflix original movie, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. So we all got the chance to take part in a whole heap of epic media opportunities while we were over there. I had the chance to chat to Zack Snider himself in a very brief interview piece that I'll be putting up on the channel soon. We got to walk the red carpet at the Tokyo premiere, and of course, we also got a chance to check out the movie ahead of release. So I thought I'd put together this sort of like hybrid review slash vlog thing. I'll talk about our experiences over in Tokyo, and then I'll just go over my thoughts on the movie itself. There's a bit to get to in this video, so let's cut into it. So we flew out to Tokyo on Saturday morning. It's currently Friday afternoon that I'm recording this one right here. So we were over there for the best part of a week. Netflix flew us out there. They put us up in accommodation, really took care of us. So at the top of this, I do want to say thanks to the incredible team, not only at Netflix Australia, but the APAC teams at Netflix who really put this whole event together and just really took care of us. Everybody involved, just thank you so much for everything. This is a real kind of pinch me moment for me. This is the first thing that I've ever actually worked on with Netflix, on this level anyway. It's been just an absolute whirlwind of a week. It all happened so fast. I'm having a severe case of imposter syndrome and don't quite believe that this all happened. So there was a very small group of us Aussie creators chosen to be sent over to Tokyo to cover this crazy event. It was myself and 4 others, all of whom you have probably come across at some point in your time on YouTube or across socials. Chris Stanley, a really fantastic actor, presenter, cosplayer extraordinaire. The incredibly talented and entertaining Mary Cherry, reactor, reviewer, presenter, and Twitch streamer. The multi-talented Rachel Everin, TikTok and Instagram extraordinaire, presenter, actress, and self-described Aussie pop culture girl. And of course, the wonderful writer Lauren Rouse, who is an entertainment and tech reporter from the Pedestrian group of websites. It was so wonderful to get a chance to know and bond with all of these wonderfully talented creators over the last few days. We got the chance to hang out together and do all these events together, and Netflix Australia could not have picked a better group of rebels to throw into this galactic adventure. It was just so much fun. We had a great time together, and I really hope that we get a chance to be thrown together again at some point in the future. So our first day in Tokyo, we just kind of had mostly a chill day. We got a chance to know each other, see a bit of the sights. That evening, we had our big Rebel Moon themed dinner event where we were able to forage for our own food. We went to this crazy restaurant where you were quite literally able to fish for your dinner. There was this big pond with all these fish in it, and you would literally fish, and then the restaurant would serve that fish up to you. It was kind of weird, and it put threw all of us into a bit of a moral quandary, and not one member of the Australian team actually wanted to take part in the fishing, so we sat that out, but we still did get to enjoy a big, lovely meal. Bit of a strange experience, but it was an experience at that. You got to take part in the local culture. The next day was the big day of formalities. Firstly, we got to head to the press conference for the film, where we got to hear from the creatives and cast behind the movie, talk a little bit about it. It was a really wonderful event. It was great to hear them chat about the movie, their experiences making it, and giving us a little bit of an insight into the film, which we hadn't actually seen at that point. And then in the evening, we headed to the Rebel Moon Tokyo premiere, which was just a spectacular event where we got to take part in all these really wonderful media activations. There was one where we got in front of a camera and essentially like a projection wall, and they did a little film with us and then popped us in the trailer for the movie. So that was fun. I got to take part in that with Mary and Lauren, and it was just really cool, just a really cool kind of thing to do. There was a bunch of other little photo opportunities where we were able to get out there and get pictures by ourselves and and together. There were a whole bunch of costumes, original screen used costumes from the movie there as well, and some props and stuff, which you could take pictures of and take pictures with. Really awesome to kind of see that screen used stuff. We got to walk the red carpet as well in front of, you know, hundreds of adoring fans who had turned out for this event. It was just really, really kind of surreal. And then of course, Zack and Deborah and the cast all came out. They spoke to the press, they signed autographs. It was a really, really cool event just to see them in the flesh once again walking that red carpet. And then at the end of that, there was another Q&A session. So a lot of formalities to get through, but it was just a really, really fascinating day. And then at the end of it, of course, it capped off with a screening of Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. And again, I'll talk about my thoughts of the movie just in a little bit. The next day, it was up bright and early to take part in the press junket, so a couple of us were able to head over and take part in some interviews. I got the chance to chat to Zack Snyder himself. This was a really great interview piece. Zack is such a cool dude, a really, really nice guy. I will be uploading the interview for that closer to the release of the movie. Later in the day, we got to take part in a really cool cosplay kind of bonding experience with each other. Netflix threw together this really great experience where we were able to basically get in cosplay and dress up as characters that you felt would like live within the Rebel Moon world. There was just a whole bunch of props and costume elements and stuff that you could put together and essentially kit bash your own character. My character, I kind of felt like was a bit of an outlaw, kind of like a little bit of a Clint Eastwood man with no name kind of guy, maybe like as Rachel said, kind of a Cad Bane bounty hunter from Star Wars. And I had a lot of fun doing that. And then after that, we were thrown into an arena and got to play a couple of rounds of laser tag in our full-on cosplay kits. Some of us kind of wish that we hadn't put on so many huge layers and whatever, but it was just so much fun just running around with these little laser guns and just kind of shooting each other, and it was like really fun. I think we only had maybe 15 or 20 minutes of doing that, but it was just a really fun afternoon. But from there, yeah, well, that's pretty much it. At our last day there, again, we just had some time to just spend the last few hours together, wandered a little bit of Tokyo, got to see some stuff together, and say our see you laters. You know, it was such a really great group of creators to get involved with, and I'm just so happy that I got the chance to spend some time with and get to know Chris and Mary and Rachel and Lauren, and of course Haley and Nathan from Netflix as well. But now let's talk about my thoughts on Rebel Moon. I should actually say, before I properly get into this review, that I know Netflix treated us very, very well to this wonderful experience. We got to see the movie early and all that stuff. We were very, very well pampered and all of that. But I do pride myself here on my channel of delivering a review that is authentic and honest to my own personal opinion. So I will be delivering a very, very honest review here. And despite what many people may think, creators in kind of, you know, they get the opportunities that I do and kind of in my position, we are in no way obligated to, you know, give an outstanding ovationary review for something. So just please understand that this is an honest and truthful review of the film. Now, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire is the latest Zack Snyder epic. His initial kind of what he would call his germ of an idea started when he was a kid, when he first saw Star Wars and wanted to do something similar to it as an adult when he was making films. And it's something that he said he's kind of been brainstorming over the years. He had an opportunity a number of years ago to pitch a Star Wars movie to Lucasfilm, and this is essentially what he pitched to them. Obviously things fell apart, or they didn't want it or whatever, and Zack thought, you know what, I'm gonna go off and just make this myself and make it my own thing. And that's not a slight to the film at all, because, you know, even Star Wars had so many throwbacks to stuff that existed before it, like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers and the Japanese samurai films of Akira Kurosawa, and the fantasy films of his, and just so many great little fantastical elements. And you can really see with Rebel Moon that Zack throws back to so many great sci-fi, adventure, fantasy things that have existed before. And I think it really is, in its own way, just the best way to create a kind of new fantasy genre from the ground up. Everything leans on something that has come before it. But Zack has done a really great job in skirting that line between kind of homage and something that is a little bit more original. So this is essentially one of Zack's very few original films, alongside Sucker Punch and Army of the Dead. So anyway, yeah, this is Zack's basically original sci-fi epic. It's got a lot of stuff that we've seen in the other ones. You know, you've got the fish out of water who comes from one home planet but wants to rebel against the evil, villainous overlords, and goes out and puts together a ragtag team that's gonna basically save the galaxy. Pretty much what we've got with this movie. It pretty much follows Seven Samurai or the Magnificent Seven or the original Star Wars down to a T. So it is a very familiar story that we all kind of know and love, but it's an old trope. It's the hero's journey. It's something that has been repeated over and over and over again in cinema, and will be repeated over and over and over again in cinema, you know, into the future. So I have, you know, no problem with that. I'm a fan of Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. I think he is an incredibly visionary, creative filmmaker. All of his movies are visually gorgeous, just big popcorn entertainment. And, you know, the movie does have a lot of the classic Zack Snyder tropes. There's the slow motion action sequences. There's the over-the-top kind of heightened characters and villains, a very mythological, otherworldly kind of depiction of characters and worlds. All of that you've come to know and love from Zack Snyder is there, and it's the stuff that I really appreciate from his work. Now, I haven't loved all of his movies, but again, as a creative, I really, really do appreciate him. I have loved his original works in the past, and I feel like Rebel Moon kind of falls into that same category as well. This is a really entertaining movie. The action sequences are a feast for the eye. They're really great fun to watch. There's some pretty quite gruesome and gory stuff in here as well, which again comes par for the course with a Zack Snyder film. He really kind of goes all out with this, but there is a director's cut that is coming, which I believe has a higher certification, which is supposedly said to be a little bit gorier and actually lets Zack kind of go all out with that kind of stuff. So I'm keen to see how that one goes. This movie is really just kind of like a setup movie. This is, of course, Rebel Moon Part 1. And this movie just takes a lot of time to introduce us to all of these characters. It is something that probably could have been maybe streamlined a little bit more, because at the end of the day, the movie does just feel like setup for the next movie or the next part. I'm under the impression that this was supposed to be one long movie and then got kind of split in two, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't confirm that, but that's kind of the feeling that you get when you watch this movie, that it feels like it's kind of half a story. You feel like you don't, by the end of it, have that complete satisfaction. Now, the second part of this is only coming out in a few months' time. It's out in April 2024, so we don't have to wait much longer for part 2. But it does almost make this movie feel like it's not a complete narrative. That was my major issue, I think, with the movie, is that it just didn't feel complete. It takes a lot of time to set up characters, which I think is great. I love kind of slow-burning movies and slow-burning stories where you really get to spend time with your characters and whatever. Some people have suggested that perhaps this could have been a series instead of a movie, maybe, I'm not sure. Or, you know, I would have been open to the movie just being one long, like 3.5, 4 hour epic. And I think it could have worked very well like that. But I guess modern audiences are maybe just a little averse to maybe that idea of just like a super long movie. We saw it with Killers of the Flower Moon recently. Which didn't do as well as it probably could have if it was a little bit shorter. That said though, it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed what we got out of this one. The actors are all great. They're all giving, 110% in their performances. They're all hammy and over the top, but that is the entire point of this piece. It's not, supposed to be a realistic look or, a slice of realistic sci-fi life or anything like that. It is very much an otherworldly, mythological kind of thing, and you really get that idea from the characters and the world that Zack is building here. I really appreciate the world building that Zack has done in this film, and he's really, again, building his own sort of franchise from the ground up. There's so much potential with this. There's so much lore that Zack has developed for this film and other potential avenues that could spring off from this. He's already spoken about doing a 6-issue comic series, which are going to be combined as a graphic novel, reprinted as a big graphic novel. There's going to be video games. There's going to be a bunch of movies if this does well. And I think it has really great potential to be the next big or a next big franchise. But I think Zack has got a really great creative eye, and as a wonderful creative, he has built something really, really great with this. And I'm really excited to see what he does with this going forward. So, whereas I didn't think this movie was, the greatest sci-fi adventure or the greatest kick-off to a franchise like this ever, I do appreciate the potential for this franchise, and I'm really keen to see what comes out of it. So yeah, I did enjoy Rebel Moon. I did have some issues with it, but it's an enjoyable film, and look, Zack Snyder fans are going to really love this, I think, anyway, which is probably, who this movie is really geared towards, and you're the ones out there who are going to make this a big thing, and I have no doubt that the Snyder fans will come out in absolute droves to make sure that this succeeds, and succeeds very, very well. I'll be giving Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, a 3 out of 5. This has just been an absolute whirlwind of a week. I want to thank Netflix once again for inviting me along to this. I want to thank everybody who was on the trip for just making my time just so fantastic, and for just being such wonderful, wonderful people. I could not think of a better group of people to be along for this ride with. It was just an absolute blast. But at that, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1 is available to view on Netflix from December 22nd. The second part will be available in April of 2024. I want to know your thoughts on this one, though. Are you excited to check out Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon? If you have already seen the movie at the time that you're watching this video right here, I want to know your thoughts on the movie. As always, join the conversation down below and weigh in with your thoughts. Thanks again to everybody involved, and thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one.